Right then, so in the aftermath of the last round at Time Attack at Brands Hatch, if you've watched the debrief video, you'll understand that unfortunately we killed the turbo. Now, I've sent the turbo away to our good friend Matt Davison to inspect the turbo and see if it could be rebuilt. Unfortunately, Garrett don't offer a replacement core for those turbochargers, so he's completely stripped the core down to see if there's anything he can do to rebuild the parts of the turbos, and unfortunately it's not going to happen. But what he can tell me is that the turbo has died due to an overspeed. So an overspeed is a direct correlation to an overboost, and if you've seen the Brands vlog, you'll have seen that we were plagued quite badly with a serious boost spike on day 2 at Brands Hatch. So we needed another turbo. We collectively come together, banged our heads together, and we came to the conclusion that a decent upgrade would have been a GTX 2080-60R. By going a bit bigger, but with a ball bearing core, we should still receive a similar spool up time, which was fantastic at Brands Hatch, by the way, but also give us a bit more headroom for carrying the power further up into the RPMs. Now, unfortunately, after contacting a few places, no one had stock of this turbo. They had stock of the turbo but in the wrong frame, which would have been too big for our particular application. So I turned to another company, Pulsar Turbos UK. Now, Pulsar turbos have kind of been dominating the market over the last couple of years with cost-effective solutions for aftermarket turbos. Now, they don't do the GTX, but they do list a PTX 2860R. So I pinged an email to Mark, who runs Pulsar UK, to see about stock availability on this turbo. And unfortunately, it was going to be a few weeks out. But there was an offer on the table that I couldn't refuse. And we pinged a couple of emails back and forth, and we settled on this particular turbocharger here, which I've got in my hands, which is Pulsar's 4849G. Now, I can't verbally tell you what this is equivalent to in, let's say, a competitor's range of turbos, but it might just flash up on the screen down here at the bottom, and that just gives you an idea of what this turbo is capable of. Now, Pulsar have kindly given me this turbo, so we're going to welcome Pulsar turbos on board as our growing list of partners and sponsors with the spicy micra. So again, Mark, thank you very much for supplying this turbo. So yeah, that leads me to this point right now with the turbo in my hand and the car which also needs said turbo. So our old GBC turbo used the standard T25 4-bolt flange, as you can see here, and the new Pulsar unit uses a V-band inlet. So unfortunately not directly compatible, but we live in an age of CNC manufacturing, and you can buy adapters such as this. So this is actually a lovely piece. This is a stainless steel T25 to G series V-band adapter, so which goes on the manifold like so, goes on the 4 bolts, and then we can utilize the V-band connection to secure this to the manifold. Now, I've got a couple of worries here, and that is the height of the adapter, which is roughly about 1 inch. Now, this turbo is physically slightly bigger than the old unit, which was already pretty close to touching the bonnet, to the point where I had to use some old gold reflective foil there to stop boiling the carbon bonnet, which worked quite well. So I haven't really got time, especially with the workload we've got going on, to make an entire new manifold. So we're going to try the adapter first, because that will be the quickest and easiest way to adapt this manifold to the new turbo. So that was relatively painless. Unfortunately, snapped another stud at the back here when trying to extract it. So anyway, that's not a cause for concern at the moment. We need to see if the bonnet fits with some decent clearance. So it's kind of on. The exhaust housing does sort of clear the bonnet with about a 10mm gap, but the compressor housing unfortunately is dead up against the bonnet vent. You can see there. So options is either to extend the bonnet vent, which means it's not going to get done today, or plan B, which was to take the manifold off and weld the V-band flange directly to the manifold, which should bring the entire turbo sort of downwards about a good 15-20mm. So I think that's what we're going to do. So let's get this off and over to the fab table, and let's get that V-band welded on. Right, so that's the fucking boy. We've now got our clearance between the compressor housing and the bonnet, which only means we've got a lot more room in between the exhaust housing and the bonnet as well. Now, unfortunately, this vent is broken, but I have got another vent there on this rack here to replace this one, so I'm not going to worry about that. So now I'm happy with the fitment. We're going to take it all back off again. Going to get it welded. So that wasn't actually a bad job, came out pretty decent. Welded it inside and out to give it the most strength possible. Now, wouldn't usually weld a new flange to an old manifold because all this material has been heat cycled many a times, and obviously that introduces fatigue into the material. So hopefully this is gonna last. If it gets us through the season, I'll make a new manifold throughout the winter. So yeah, so we're gonna bolt this back on the car, put our EGTs back in, get the turbo on. Right then, turbo is on. Really happy with how that's come out. We've also managed to utilise the same oil drain as we had on the old GBC. I've just had to make a slight adjustment to the tube to clear the where it goes through the primaries here on the back of the manifold, if you can see that well. So all we have to do now is modify the downpipe to accept the new V-band flange, because the old downpipe over here doesn't have a male-female reset, and the new flange for this turbo does, and that always irked me because it was a nightmare to line up. So that's gonna make that a breeze in the future. So simple job. We'll offer the old downpipe up, and hopefully it's just a simple case of chop the old flange off, weld a new flange on, with no need to do any sort of like extending or welding a whole new elbow in there. Hopefully, anyway. So we're gonna have to do some choppy because As you see here, it hits the bottom of the manifold, and we've still got quite a gap here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop the V-band off here and then just weld a bit of new straight in there, or an option is we could cut the 90° off here completely and put a whole new 90 with the leg on, which means it might look a bit cleaner. We might actually do that actually. So yeah, we'll go cut this off. Boom, downpipe all done. Clearances are all good against the radiator now, and the sump underneath now. You're gonna laugh because there's only what, 1, 2, 3, 4 bits of tube in there. It took me 4.5 hours to get to this point. It's no exaggeration. Any fabricators out there, you probably know the pain of what I've been through, but literally 4.5 hours to get to that point. Mainly because there's no secondary holding feature for downpipe, so there was no way to sort of like hold it up in its position to give me some sort of datum to work to. So lots of trial and errors, lots of winging it, but we're here. So what we've got to do now is we're going to whip this back off the car over to the fab bench. Going to weld it up. Need to put an O2 sensor boss in there. I've already marked that up there. And then I need to weld a threaded insert onto the downpipe here for something we'll go into maybe later point in this video. So home stretch, get this welded up, back on the car, and then we can finally start this engine up with the brand new Turbocharger.
This is the man who got your penis to blow.
Oh, don't be a
I see you know your judo well.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
So, I've only gone and bloody done it again, haven't I? Sat there editing this video, realised I haven't filmed a bloody outro, have I? So, here it is. So, topic of this video, the primary focus of this video is the brand spanking new turbocharger that has been kindly supplied to us by Pulsar Turbos UK. Now, extremely grateful to be working with such companies. You know, the car just gets so much attention at all these events that we do, because, you know, you don't really see a micra pushing that sort of power in a high grip environment, sort of tearing it up around the circuits of the United Kingdom. And obviously you can see that we do have a flurry of sponsors and partners on the car that we have gained over the last year or two, but that doesn't take the focus away that this video is all about Pulsar Turbos UK. Now, I want to thank Mark personally. Hopefully you're watching. I still want to thank you very much for this opportunity. The turbo obviously means a lot to me, and as you can see by the discoloration of the downpipe is that we have already used this new turbo in a bit of anger at round 5 at Alton Park. Now, that's going to be a couple of videos away yet. You've got to do a fabrication video to watch first. But I really can't wait to show you the Alton Park video, because it's going to be a bloody amazing video. And of course, it's that part of the video again where I'm going to beg you to go press that like button, press that subscribe button, drop a comment down below, go buy some spicy micro merch. As you see, I'm wearing a sick spicy micro t-shirt today. I'll give you a little twindle. Yeah, got several sizes of these in stock, and they're comfy as fuck. They've actually become my new work shirt. And something else I'm missing. Don't forget to tell your nan. Buy her a t-shirt or a beanie. It's getting cold soon.